Okay. Well, it is December 27th and DI season is deep into team activity. Tonight we thought we would talk about what if everything isn't perfect in paradise? What if everybody isn't totally playing nice in the sandbox? Or how to deal with some issues of maybe difficult team members, personality, conflicts, maybe parents who are not being supportive. So we're calling this sort of combating negativity. And one of the things we were just chatting about was first and foremost, I hope most of you have set some rules, team rules, norming with the team. How do we act with each other? And what are the rules at my house? Or, if I am the team manager, or this is my space, how you have to respect that, to be part of the team. But so if you haven't done that and you're having some issues, that might be a place to start. And there are some good resources in the roadmap to help with setting team rules and expectations. But if you've tried to do that, there may be a problem child or a personality conflict. There may be two kids who just can't seem to get along. And so I have some other ideas for how the team manager can intervene in a coaching way. First of all, pulling the two kids, two or three kids, whatever it is, or the two sides. We want to do it this way. We want to do it this way. And letting each one tell their whole story, like a mediation. Okay, I'm the mediator. You guys say, this is what I think, this is what I see, and you guys just listen. And then, okay, tables are turned. The other person, the other side, and you guys just listen, take notes. But you as mediator are listening to, and you may know the truth that's in the middle, or you may not have been privy to what's been building up. You may not have realized it. And so really forcing them to listen to each other and come to some sort of, we can live with this to go forward. Another is reflective listening, which is that's having the other person say, one person is speaking and the other person said, okay, what I heard is blah, 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 without the, but that's not how it is. Reflective listening is really supposed to be, okay, this is what I heard you say. Did I get that right? And then the first person says, well, yes, except that, this part, whatever. They get to the point where the one person has heard the other person. Then you flip the side. So it's maybe one level more than that first mediation I was talking about. I knew a team manager who had a work it out corner. It was a little bit like putting your toddler in timeout. That if it was a couple of kids who are having trouble, to put them aside so that there isn't the whole drama with the whole team. It really helps to, one of the reasons we think it's a good idea to have a co-team manager is that one team manager could go to the workout corner, not right away. I mean, let them go and like stew for a minute. Unless it's coming to blows, they're either going to, pout at each other, or they might try to work it out themselves. The point of the workout corner is see if you guys can work it out yourselves without everybody else involved, without all the other team weighing in. The other work it out corner is the team manager taking the problem child out of the room so that they don't get the benefit of the reactions to their whatever kind of a scene they're making. Take the kid out of the situation, and just trying to be as calm as possible and do that, reflective listening. What is your problem? What the heck is your problem? What is it that's bothering you? Okay, what I hear is you don't like how, blah, blah, blah. Which takes tremendous, and I tend to be personally more of a, buck up, bucko. So it's hard for me. It's much easier for me to do that one-on-one, making the effort. And so I would suggest giving that a chance. Somebody else mentioned, or something I found online, was try a talking stick. So if the team is having a hard time coming together and not everybody's getting a chance to say what their opinion is, a lot of times the thinker analyzer kid is like listening to everything, and they may have a really good consensus option, but they don't get a word in edgewise. And so a talking stick can be any, could be very fun, creative. They could make it as a team activity, right? With ribbons or squeakers or whatever it is, but it could be a ruler. It could be a pencil. If it's in your hand, you have the opportunity to talk and nobody else can interrupt you. So those are all sort of verbal kinds of things that that might help with problem situations. The next idea down there is assigning responsibilities for success. And that this is a team manager decision. The team doesn't have to make all their own assignments. It's great if your team is functioning well and they can say, I'll take this or I'll take that or I want to do this. But there may be some kids who say, I want to write the story, but they don't have the skills to do that. I want to work on building the motor, but they get frustrated and then they bang the thing down, and now everything that the team did is worthless. Maybe working on what you know of these kids to help the kids who have skills in certain areas understand that they'll take lead on this. And if somebody else is like, but I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, maybe then saying, but you're so good at, the acting out part. You're so good at the acting part. What if you direct things? What if you try directing the team? Let him do the motor because he's really good with that electric stuff. So finding their opportunities for success can a lot of times, I think, diffuse a situation where everybody's unhappy because the team manager feels like, well, everybody has to have their hands in everything, or we're going to make everybody think about write the story, or we're going to make everybody work on the props. And that just may not work with certain kids, which brings me to the run around. There are some kids who cannot sit still. And I think that a team manager has to balance a team meeting with short periods of time where you have to like really sit and think. And maybe that doesn't have to be everybody. But when you feel there's tension building up between a couple of kids or with the team, or they're just getting squirrely, they've had to work at something, they've had to think too hard for, for some period of time. And that's a different amount of time for rising stars than it is for, seventh graders. And it's probably the same amount of time again as rising stars when they get to high school. It gets squirrely. I used to do an activity with my little kids that was literally, it was like, time out, ding, opposite corners. We're going to run outside for a minute. And even if it's cold, it's like, throw your sweaters on, we're going outside. And I would have them just do these running activities. And it would be as simple as, okay, run from my mailbox to the light pole across the street, go around it once and come back, tag the next guy. The next guy is going to go do that and add something on, run and touch a bush, come back and tags the next kid. So it's an activity that actually sort of is getting them team building, team working, but they're having fun and they're getting some of the wiggles out. I really think that changing it up and giving them something a little bit physical to do is really, really helpful, especially as we get to, really having to finalize stories, finalize scripts, finalize costumes, doing the more detailed work. They're going to need opportunities to just like, and I think sometimes we think better after we've had a little bit of an opportunity. If they're like stuck and they can't think of, they're like, I don't know, and they're frustrated. Get up, move around, come back. I bet it works better the next time. There are some fun team building activities that are specific to kind of calling out negative behavior. Everybody's heard of the good things gab session, where it's like if everybody's getting all, sort of mean spirited among the team, to have them either say it, going around, okay, look at you. Here's something good about you. Here's something I like about you. Thank you. And here's something I like about you. Okay, here's something I like about you. Here's something I like about you. And it goes around the circle. This can be done on paper. You've probably seen things where it's like, you write down 5 things and one thing you wish the team would do better. What are 5 great things about our team? One for every other person on the team, at least. And then what's one thing I wish our team did better? The role reversal game is actually a game. It's a team building game or activity. And it's very funny. And you get to control how this goes. The activity is very simple. It's a challenge where you just have a pile of newspaper in the middle of the table, and they must build a tower as tall as possible. However, each person has a sign on their back with a statement below, and the other team members must treat their compadres according to the sign on their backs. But you're not going to tell anybody what is on their back, right? So nobody is allowed to say what sign is on somebody's back, but you can either place these truthfully, as the team really acts usually, or you can go sort of randomly or opposite their usual behavior. And here are the signs. Laugh at everything I say. So if somebody can't take a joke, or somebody's the goofy guy all the time, or ignore me, and you could put that on the kid who can never let anybody else get a word in edgewise, and they will ignore everything that person says. None of my ideas are any good. Every idea is the best idea. Just keep telling me to shut up. I totally confuse you. And so you could put this on the real thinker analyzer kid, the kid who has figured out what the problem is, and nobody's really listening to them because they're still spiraling. I am the natural leader, or act surprised at what I say. And you could make up other ones as you wish. And I actually have this, I've used it many times coaching teams, where here are the actual, you can print them out and you can tape them on kids' backs. They think it's a game. They do think it's really fun. And it can maybe sort of hurt feelings until it makes the point. Obviously, you have to debrief afterwards. And you have to say, well, how did that make you feel when you didn't listen? Nobody listened to what you said. Do you know how this works in our team? So you can extrapolate and work with them. But while it's going on, I've done this with numerous teams, and they've had a fun time with it. And in the debrief, they're like, oh, so that's what we were doing. The next part I want to talk about is counseling team members individually, and it goes with talking to the parents. If you have a kid who really is not respectful of you, of your home, of the others, of the materials, it's time to talk to that kid point blank. No pussyfooting around. No trying to sugarcoat anything. They need to know exactly what is the problem and set a consequence, and make sure that you talk to the parent either before, during, or certainly after, and make sure. Sometimes the problem is the parent. The parent doesn't discipline, allows behaviors like this at home. If you're never going to change that behavior, then it's a time to maybe consider with the rest of the team whether this team member is valuable or not. Is it time to kick somebody off a team? I am not a big fan of kicking kids off a team. I am a fan of making it work, using tons of team building activities and talking about it truthfully with a group of children, even little kids. I've worked with Rising Stars teams. I think being truthful with the kids about what your problem is with them, or what someone else's problem with them, in pretty clear, truthful language, unemotionally, right? You're not out to ruin their little psyches. What you're out to do is make them understand what their behavior is that is not working and make sure the parent understands. I had to kick a child off because the parent would not stop interfering. And that little girl, when our team did the school performance, cried because she would have changed her behavior, but her mom said no. If you don't believe me that I didn't interfere, and it was so incredibly obvious, so we couldn't let her stay on the team. It was tough. There's one more thing I want to show you, and that is what's called Edward de Bono's thinking hats. And it's a guy who's I think a educational, psychologist kind of guy. And there is a thinking hats tool for working in groups. I guess I need to make this a little bit smaller so you can see all the colors. And basically, what this is saying, can I do it? I don't know. What this is saying is that whoever's wearing this hat, that the hats can even say on them, all they have to be is a paper hat. It doesn't, it could be birthday cone hats, it could be whatever. But if this is a thinking process, okay, then somebody who is going to moderate that or work on that, or everybody puts on the blue hat for a minute. Either one person is moderating blue hat or everybody puts their blue hats on for a minute. White hat thinking is okay, what are the facts? What do we need to find out? It's the determining data. The green hat is all about creativity. So while the green hat is on, we're green lighting. We are no judgments. We're just, spewing every idea we have, because then we can come back to one of the other hats to then think through which are the best ideas. A yellow hat is the benefits, the cost benefit analysis kind of thing. What are the plus points? What are the logical reasons why an idea is useful? If we can find the yellow things in a creative idea, if we can organize the action around it, if we can figure out if there's a problem, if there's an obstacle, if there's a danger, if there's a risk to what it is this creative idea is. And finally, the red hat is intuition or feelings or gut reaction. And the red hat is about how is this message going to be received? Is our storyline going to offend somebody? Or is this if we make somebody be a certain character and that they don't feel good about that? I mean, it's talking about how we feel about things. And so these hats are a really cool way to be able to say, even if it's a 3x5 card, a piece of construction paper that says, okay, we need to do some blue hat thinking, or we need to do some green hat thinking, or we need to do some black hat thinking, to be able to help the team manager move the team to the next part of the process of creative problem solving. Because we know creative problem solving starts with, what is the problem? What are our ideas for how we can solve it? What are the benefits, risks, obstacles? And finally, what's our plan? And so all of these are part of that process, but it's hard sometimes for a team to realize we've gotten bogged down in one area, or we're jumping from, ability from skill to skill, or topic to topic, or way of thinking to way of thinking. And a team manager who understands, or has this printed out, or says, okay, and the team understands, okay, this is what we're going to do now. For the next 4 minutes, we are going to work on, yellow hat thinking. So it's a way to, instead of it being personality driven conversations, the big idea kid versus the, thinker analyzer, that's a dumb idea guy. Instead, you can use the hats to say, we're all going to try to think this way. It means that some team members that may be easier for them. They may be more prolific at one of the types of thinking from another, but it's a way to take it out of personality and into process. And DI is all about the process. So this is a simple tool that I think team managers could use with their teams to help them with the process of getting through to the action step. So those were the things that I had to share about difficult situations. Catherine or Monica, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I wanted to add a couple things. When you talk about conflict, so like in business, we talk about conflict, like conflict resolution, right? But that's not what you want to have happen. And like what you said, it's like you want conflict mediation, right? So it's like conflict resolution is like, I don't want to hear anybody's like crazy ideas. Everybody just settle down. Right. And that's not what you want. I mean, of course you want like good conflict, right? You don't want people coming to blows, but it's like, it's important to kind of let that process play out as opposed to just shushing everybody, when it got dicey kind of thing. Right. The other point I wanted to make was, you talked about asking people to leave the team, or even Ken had mentioned something about somebody deciding to quit or whatever. One of the unintended consequences of that is that if that person is no longer part of the team, then any contribution they made has to be taken out of the solution, because now they're not part of the team, and that would be considered interference. So, of course we don't want to ask kids to leave, and we don't want to make them, get them so upset that they leave or whatever. But it's like, in terms of what does this mean for the rest of the team, it's like, be careful, because that now has, whatever they said now has to be removed from the solution.
It either needs to be removed or it needs to be put on the Declaration of Independence.
Right. You could say,
I think you could put something about, we had a team member that
left at the last minute,
decided to leave the team because of behavior issues. Some ideas at the beginning, but we've replaced the costume that they worked on.
The other thing I've seen is that people just like leave them on the roster, right? I mean, that sends a different message though, right? It's like if they needed to be taken off the team, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I?
Here, let's get Monica, like make comments, and then we'll stop recording, and then we'll open it up. Monica, did you have anything to add on the?
No, it's just, I think when there's conflict, what you do need to do is just listen to what's going on, listen to what's being said, because sometimes the conflict doesn't necessarily come from what they're working on currently. They may have had some sort of a conflict in school,
for sure,
or something else. So if you listen to what they're saying, then you can kind of tell if it's an issue that needs to be dealt with the parents versus the kids. Because if it's happening in school and maybe one of them is bullying the other one, they don't do it in your presence, but that's what you're hearing, then the parents need to know what's going on. Or maybe they're all being bullied by some kids at school because they're doing DI. So, it may affect how they are. And then I think it's the parents who you need to talk to first and let them know what you're hearing, because sometimes they don't know. I've had that with my son. I had students come to me, some of his friends come to me and let me know that his science teacher, they didn't let me know right away. His science teacher said no one would care if he never came back.
Oh.
So, you can't always tell what's going on. And it really troubled some of his friends that were also on the DI team. So they became overly protective of him. And it was a little bit weird until they told me what was going on. So,
and I think that's part of that, taking a team member aside and saying, what is it that's going on with you, and trying to really listen and then make the decision of, you know, taking them away from the whole interaction of the whole team, or it's a team issue, and then getting, you know, either the two team members or the two factions to really have to work it out together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.